Because even if the ANC fails to implement the NHI, but on the ground they are going to win the narrative, because they're simply going to tell the people that, guys, we wanted you to go to the private hospitals, we wanted you to be afforded the proper health care, but these opposition parties, these organizations, they've actually stood in our way of actually making sure that you guys are getting the proper health care.
The 360 experience with Thomas M.
Friends, let's jump straight in. The big news of the last week, as electioneering is kind of winding down, has been the absolute, I've sort of invented a new word, the Lucification of the ANC campaign, right? And that is where you just make promises whether they can work or not. And the biggest one of those promises that has been passed recently is the NHI, the National Health Insurance Bill, which is being signed into an act, right, which President Ramaphosa is signing.
Yeah, look, I mean, the ANC is aware that this is possibly the first West election they are going to experience. All polls, including those conducted by the party, indicate that the ANC will not cross the 50% mark. Then the ANC is panicking. There's a big panic in Lutula House as we speak. So they are trying their best to swing the vote. So this signing of the NHI by President Cyril Ramaphosa is an attempt to say to South Africans, look, we are doing something for you. Please give us a chance. It doesn't matter whether it will work or not.
Of course.
We know that's not going to work. So after the elections, it's not as if the poor will walk into a private hospital and get treated after this. It's not going to happen like that. There's a lot of money that need to be invested by the state, and the state doesn't have money. So it's not going to happen. But you're correct. It's part of the craziness of the elections done by a party that is panicking, the ANC.
They may be panicking, but is there a chance that it works?
What
The NHI, that kind of blatant action when it comes to an election where you make crazy promises.
Look, yes.
I mean, it has been working for the past 30 years. Of course it's going to work. In the past 30 years, South Africans have been promised heaven on earth. How many of those promises the ANC has actually delivered? Because even with this NHI, it's just that the NHI, it is a bit exaggerated, but it is no different from the promises that the ANC has been making for the past 30 years. The ANC has realized something, especially with the people on the ground, the people that are affected by the corrupt and inept government of the ANC, is that the people do not hold the ANC accountable. What do I mean by that? If the ANC promises you something this time, on the next elections, the people are not going to hold the ANC accountable and say that, guys, you remember last time you said that you are going to get rid of the pit toilets. What happened to that? You said that our children are no longer going to die in the pit toilets. You said that the next time our children are no longer going to study under the trees. You said that you are going to build the proper schools for our children. What happened to that? No, this is not what the people are doing. The people, it's almost as if the people are simply waiting for the ANC to promise them something. I mean, like, if you have to go back to 2019 and remember of everything that Ramaphosa has promised South Africans, right now he's not talking about any of those things. You remember Ramaphosa telling South Africans that he's going to get rid of the corrupt cadres. Remember Ramaphosa saying that he's going to make sure that the people that are deployed as the ministers are people who are capable and the people who are dedicated to do the jobs. You remember Ramaphosa promising you that he's going to throw corrupt cadres in jail. What happened to that? And nothing happened to that. Right now it's 2024. No one is asking Ramaphosa about the promises that he has made in 2019. So this NHI, it is no different from all the promises that the ANC has been making since 1994. They simply make promises so that they can get over the elections and so that they can continue with their ways. This has been the ANC's way of doing things. And I blame South Africans for that. I blame the poor black people on the ground for that. Because these are the people that were supposed to say that. Ramaphosa, you remember when you became the president, you said that you are going to deal with corruption, but it looks like ever since you became the president, corruption has been rampant in South Africa. Ever since you became the president, crime has been rampant in this country. You said that you are going to deal with these things. So what happened to Shamila Batoyi? What happened to you parading Shamila Batoyi around and saying that you are going to put corrupt cadres behind the bars? What happened to that? The people are not asking Ramaphosa about any of that. The people are not asking Ramaphosa about the promised jobs. The people are not asking Ramaphosa about the promised industrialization. The people are not asking Ramaphosa about the smart city. The people are not asking Ramaphosa about any of that. They waited for Ramaphosa to make another promise. Ramaphosa, again, he makes another promise. And he says that, guys, we are signing NHI into law. Do you know what this means? It means that the next time when you seek for medical attention, you no longer need to go to the public hospitals that we as the government has failed to maintain. You no longer need to go to the private clinics that we as the government has failed to maintain. If you want the medical attention, you will simply go to the private hospitals. And the people will be happy with this promise again. I mean, like, this is the reason why last time I told people that, guys, please do not panic about this NHI bill being signed into law. These people are not planning to implement the NHI. They are not planning to implement the NHI. They just bought time with the NHI. And you know what is funny with the NHI is that the ANC understands that the majority of the population is uneducated. So if people oppose the NHI and they succeed in opposing the NHI, the ANC will simply go to the people on the ground and say that, guys, we wanted you to go to the private hospitals, but these people, they don't want you to go to the private hospitals. This is the narrative that the ANC is running with even right now, that the people who are opposing the NHI are the people that do not want the poor people to be afforded with the proper health care like the people who can afford the medical aid. This is nothing but the information war. This has been nothing but the information war, and it looks like the ANC is winning on this front of the information war, because even if the ANC fails to implement the NHI, but on the ground they are going to win the narrative, because they're simply going to tell the people that, guys, we wanted you to go to the private hospitals, we wanted you to be afforded the proper health care, but these opposition parties, these organizations, they've actually stood in our way of actually making sure that you guys are getting the proper health care. So the ANC have actually signed the NHI, hoping that it is going to be opposed, hoping that the courts are going to agree with these people that are opposing the NHI, so that they can go to the people on the ground and say that, guys, we wanted this for you. The opposition parties and these organizations have actually stood in our way. Before you even know it, the people on the ground, they will be hating all the opposition parties, they will be hating all the organizations, and they will be chanting ANC left, right, and center, because this is the same ANC that has made sure that your children are going to school. This is the same ANC that has made sure that you are getting the social grants. What actually makes you think that the same ANC didn't want you to be afforded with the proper health care? This is the narrative war. This is the narrative war. So whether the ANC wins or whether the ANC implements the NHI or whether they fail to implement the NHI, when it comes to the narrative on the ground, they are going to win. They are going to win. Because you don't want, even if you have a political party, you don't want to be that political party that, even if you oppose the NHI and even if you have proper reasons why you oppose the NHI, but do you think the people on the ground are sophisticated enough to listen to those reasons? No, they are not going to listen to that. They are not going to listen to that. So the ANC is hoping, it's honestly hoping that these people take them to court. The ANC is hoping that opposition parties take them to court. They are hoping that these organizations take them to the court, and they are hoping that these people win so that they can go to the people and say that, guys, we wanted this for you, and these people oppose that. This is the information war. So, Mike, talking about the promises, people have been promised things since 1994. It is no different. Of course, it's going to work. Of course, it's going to work. And it looks like there is not a single person, man, that can actually do something about it. The only thing that people can do is to question the timing of the NHI. And that's the only thing that you can do. Because if you oppose it blatantly, you are not going to win the war with the people on the ground. You are not going to win it.
The thing, anything that the state has touched in South Africa under the ANC over the past 30 years, if you look at the bigger picture, has actually turned to dust.
But the people don't care about that. That is the biggest problem. That the people do not care about that. The people do not care about these people destroying the state-owned entities. Man, you know, when you speak with the people on the ground, you will actually get to understand that the poor black people, man, they do not care that the government is stealing from them. They don't care about the ANC stealing from them. They don't care about the cadres living this opulent life that we are seeing on the social media. They don't care about that. They don't care about that. And it is one of the most disturbing things to actually witness about the people that in South Africa, that the people are actually okay with the government destroying the state-owned entities. People are okay with the government officials living this opulent lifestyle. They do not care. So if you think you're gonna go around and tell South Africans that the ANC guys are thugs, these people are stealing your money, these people are driving the G-Wagons, the Fikile Mbalula is driving around in the 3 million rand G-Wagons, man, the people are okay with that. The people are okay with that. If anything, the people on the ground, they will tell you that, man, anyone who gets in governments is going to steal. So this is what they are saying, that anyone who gets in government is going to steal. So they have no problem with the ANC stealing. The people on the ground, they might have problems with the ANC with other things, but they do not have the problem with the ANC stealing the funds. They do not have the problem with the ANC stealing the funds that were supposed to build the water treatment system. They do not have the problem with the ANC cadres stealing the money that is supposed to build the infrastructure. They do not have the problem with that. They do not have the problem with that, because if they did, they would have actually voted out the ANC long time ago. If the people actually cared about these people breaking down the state-owned entities or anything they touching turning into dust, they would have actually voted these people out. But because they keep voting for the ANC, it shows you that majority of the people in the ground who are poor black people on the ground, they do not care about what the ANC does in government. They don't. Some of us, we do care. We are looking at the state-owned entities. We are looking at everything these people are doing. And we are saying, man, there's no way we're going to continue having these people. But when it comes to the larger voter base, they don't care about all of these things that these people are doing. And it is so disturbing to witness, man.
So the ANC government was handed by the apartheid government hospitals, big hospitals, Baragwanath, Chris and Baragwanath, if you want, the biggest in South Africa. And look at what they did to that hospital. They messed it up. Even Cyril Ramaphosa himself, when his relatives are sick, he wouldn't want them to go to a public hospital.
Of course.
Hospitals that he manages. So I don't have faith that this NHI thing, which, if it's managed by the state, is going to work. It's going to mess up things. So what the state is trying to do, what the ANC is trying to do, they are trying to destroy the little that works that was created by the private sector. I mean, if you were to take South Africa today and say minus the private sector, South Africa would almost be a failed state.
Of course.
Roads that are full of potholes, hospitals that are dysfunctional, crime that is rampant. They can't even provide electricity except for this month because there's an election. Transnet that has collapsed. So if you ask me, will it work? No, it will be like Transnet. It won't work.
Yeah, because I think just then this isn't a debate about the NHI itself, but so the ANC is trying to dress this up as if there's not government hospitals already. It's by far the biggest healthcare provider in the country. It's just run particularly badly, isn't it?
Of course, it's because again, people are not questioning them about these things. No one is actually talking about the public hospitals. Do you think the people on the ground, they will care to ask about the public hospitals? If someone comes and says that, guys, we have the solution for you, and this solution is going to result with you going to the private hospitals, no one is going to ask about the public hospitals. No one is going to say that, guys, how about you maintain the current public hospitals that we have? People are not asking about that. People are not asking about that. They are not asking about that.
Correct.
Nothing stopping them from doing a good job.
Every major township in South Africa has a big hospital. Just mention any. There is a big public hospital with massive facilities, by the way. If you trace the history of that hospital, whether Tembisa Hospital here in Gauteng, whether Matikwana Hospital in my township in Mkhuhlu, just go trace that hospital, the performance of that hospital. This is what you're going to find, which is embarrassing. It used to work better under apartheid. It is in a worse state today under the ANC. Bottom line. So it's not as if the ANC has not had resources at its disposal to demonstrate whether it is capable of managing things or not. It has. But here's the record of the ANC, as I said earlier on. Whatever they touch, it turns into dust.
So the ANC continues to defend the NHI. You know, the ANC cadres, man, they are all out in full force, man, to defend the NHI. I think these people are simply doing this so that we can go to the rally in FNB Stadium. So here is the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi Mutsiri, man. Like, you know, these people, man, are like, they're simply defending the NHI.
What about those who are challenging the likes of yourselves, the likes of the president, the likes of other ministers and top members of the NEC to say, you are actually the ones who are the beneficiaries of the medical aid scheme programs, because most of you, if not all, have medical aids, and yet you are unwilling to tear your medical aids and show your support and actually put your back behind this thing called NHI.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I'm not on any medical aid, for your information. I'm actually
Guys, do you believe that the spokesperson of the ANC is not on medical aid? Do you believe that this woman is not on medical aid? She say, no, I am not on medical aid. I'm not on medical aid.
actually will be one of the beneficiaries of NHI. I just have a hospital plan, but not the full set of what a discovery medical aid would afford me. And it's often perceived that way, but it's actually not often the truth. That being said, the interest in this discussion must be the interest of the people of South Africa, and that needs to be served, especially those that may be missing between a medical aid and basic primary health care. So, you know, I believe that too much ado about NHI, particularly when it comes to the DA, I wouldn't really take them seriously, given the fact that issues of access for the marginalized and for those that are historically disadvantaged are not really prioritized in the space of the Democratic Alliance.
You know. Just, you know, man, you know, you just have to make it about race, man, so that you can get away with everything, man. Just make it about race. Just make it about race. So this time, Mahlengi Mutsiri, man, she's denying the fact that Ramaphosa signing the NHI into law, it is nothing but an election ploy. She's saying, no, it is not an election ploy, man. Like, the ANC honestly wants to implement this NHI. The ANC honestly wants to implement this NHI. You know, listening to these people, man, it is so funny. Listening to these people.
In particular, some reports saying President Ramaphosa has been dangling the NHI carrot to try and woo KwaZulu-Natal voters to support the African National Congress. IFP leader Thami Ntuli saying the timing of this is quite suspect and just a political ploy.
Well,
I mean, like, the timing of Ramaphosa signing the NHI is perfect for the ANC. It's perfect for the ANC. It is so perfect for the ANC. It is perfect for the ANC, man. So I do agree with the leader of IFP there that the timing of this thing, man, it is quite a suspect. But with the ANC, it is perfect, man. Like, they couldn't have found a better timing for them to sign this NHI into law.
Saying the timing of this is quite suspect and just a political ploy.
Well, maybe just to start off with putting matters in context around the NHI. It's an age-old policy position of the ANC. that was planted right at the beginning, at the dawn of democracy. And we've been working quietly and systematically to put together, to look at what other countries have done in the global north, in the global south, to look at how you achieve the dream of universal health coverage.
I mean, like, if you look at countries like the United States and you look at the countries like the UK, and these people, man, have basically failed to implement the NHI. And these are the first world countries, man. What about us as South Africa? What about the chances of us as South Africa, man? Especially with the ANC. Especially with the ANC, man. You know, this whole thing of the NHI, to be honest, it is not a bad idea. It is not a bad idea, man. When you really listen to what NHI is, it is not a bad idea. But I think South Africans have trust problems with the people that are promising NHI. South Africans have a problem with the ANC being the ones to implement the NHI. This is where the problem actually lies. That these people, man, have never been able to take care of anything. These people have actually failed to take care of COVID-19 funds. What actually makes them think that this time around they can deal with something as big and complicated as NHI? The NHI, on paper, like, it is a good idea, but the people that are promising the NHI, they don't make sure.
For all. So the NHI thing is not an elections-related issue. It has come where it has come precisely because of the work we've been doing via the work we do in the legislative branch. So it cannot be associated with an election clause. Back to KZN. Yes, we are working very hard in KwaZulu-Natal. Any incumbent governing party will be remiss not to focus on KwaZulu-Natal simply for its contribution to the nation's GDP, simply for its contribution to the national vote share. It is simply a very straight, logical answer to why KZN is important, alongside other provinces such as Gauteng, as you've alluded.
So guys, I don't know, man, what are your thoughts on this whole thing of the NHI, man? I think this whole thing of the NHI, it is going, like the ANC, I honestly think that this thing is going to win a lot of votes for the ANC. I honestly think that it's going to win a lot of votes for the ANC. Not because these people want to implement this, man, but because of how the people on the ground are thinking. Because of how the people on the ground are thinking, man. Like, it is so easy for the ANC to promise people things and for the people to fall for what the ANC is promising them. This has been the case for South Africa, man, for the past 30 years. This has been something that the opposition parties, man, have been failing to actually distract the ANC from doing. Promising South African things and not delivering on those promises. On the next elections, promising South Africans something and still not being able to implementing those promises. So the NHI, it is no different from what the ANC has promised to the people in the past 30 years. The ANC simply knows that, okay, this is a sensitive issue. They know that this is the issue that is near and dear to South Africans' hearts. So we are going to run with it because we are desperate. This is the most desperate campaign of the ANC. And yet, this is the most lethal campaign of the ANC. The messaging that the ANC is running with, this messaging of reminding the people of what the ANC has done since 1994, you mix that with this of NHI, man, like, it is desperate, but it is lethal at the same time. So, guys, I don't know, man. Do you think that there is something that can actually be done to make South Africans aware that, okay, these people are not even intending to implement the NHI? Because we can come on these platforms and try to shout all we want about these people not being serious about implementing this NHI, and these people are not being serious about any of the promises. But it's not going to be enough. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. We can talk all we want, but it is not going to be enough. Guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Maba, so I will see you next time. Bye bye.